good to be live with you today on BOCI TV. I'm Sherry Henley, and I encourage you to go to our website at businessovercoffee.com. We have a studio audience here. Can I hear from the studio audience? All right. And we are getting ready to cover a very, very important topic. How many of you are interested in how to not just follow up with your clients or your prospective clients, but how to do it effectively? Yeah. All of us, right? We all want to know how to build that relationship through follow-up. And so I'm introducing a lady, Gina Davis, who is an expert at follow-up. And she will teach you not only how to send out customized cards, but also how to use the internet to follow up, also how to build relationships through follow-up, because the name of her group is Custom Growth Group. How many of you would like your group to grow in a customized way? Okay, your group being your client base, your group being maybe your group of people that you have in a network, so forth. So let me just say that through a collaboration effort that Gina Davis and BOCI collaborate with Custom Growth Group, and we're going to pass this around, and we send this out to all of our professional members. We have campaigns that are going to be going out to our advisors and executive council over the holidays. But this is the one that we have going out to visitors each time they come. And when you open it, you will see that over here I am promoting and exposing Gina Davis and her Custom Growth Group. Over here she's giving a testimonial about what she does in order to help build your follow-up. And so
the testimonials for Business Over Coffee.
Exactly. Okay. And so the essence behind this is that this is great not only for your business but also